Before I get into this conversation today, I just want to talk about consistency, and absolutely you will not get it from me, clearly, because I haven't posted anything since a long time. And I saw a video the other day, and you can't help it if you're on any kind of social media. You cannot help but see something about neurodivergence, about ADHD, about how someone has got ADHD, or you know someone that may have ADHD. We're all self-diagnosing and diagnosing everybody else. There is also a downside to neurodivergence that you don't see. So everybody's like, oh, you're part of the cool club. Yeah, sure. I'd never been a part of a cool club in my entire life. And they're like, it's a superpower. Sure, it is. Absolutely. Own it. Neurospicy. Right. Love it. However, there is like this other side to it. This other side that for some people is really hard. And for me, with my ADHD and my dyslexia, it can really be hard for me to get my motor going. Now, how do you do that when you got to work? And then you want to pursue these things, your hobbies, your like conversations with people, which you absolutely love. So there's these like downsides that you can't get your motor going and stuff like this. And there was a video I saw the other day, and I haven't seen anybody else talk about this, which is consistency. We all strive for consistency, but if you tell an ADHD person to be consistent, that's harsh. Because an ADHD person can really struggle with consistency, as we see with this podcast. I will get off my rant, but that's basically, essentially to let you know that this is never going to be consistent, or if it is, someone else is helping me. That's what we need. But the story that we're going to listen to now is like two stories. One about the soulmate, one about the one. Which got me questioning, how the fuck can you have both? What's the difference? Truly, what's the difference between a soulmate and the one? So have a listen, and then if you have an idea, do let me know, because I put it out on TikTok and someone just went, we're all soulmates. Fuck off. We're all one. All right, great, but what's the difference between soulmate and the one? That's my question. All right, enough of this ranting, I promise. It's a good conversation. I want you to enjoy it. Let me know what you think. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, I'm all ears. Just keep it kind. Thank you, though, for being here.
No problem,
Thanks. Before we start, though, always ask these questions. Can you give me your name, your sexual orientation, and your relationship status?
My name is Stacey. I am straight, and I'm currently single.
Mm-hmm.
Living my best life.
Living your best life. So you're currently single. Now, the reason we know each other is through Rach, and we work together as well. And it's actually through Rachel that you have a story. And I was like, this is really interesting, because something that I've been really thinking about a lot recently with everything that's going on in the world, specifically stuff in the Middle East and things, is like non-negotiables. And things that you just like, they are something that's going to happen, and that's like a non-negotiable. And there was this meme that popped up that was like, is pizza, like pineapple on a pizza, non-negotiable? Like, I can handle that, but I can't handle this.
Yeah, pineapple on pizza is a hard no.
I love that. Out of everything, that's the hard no.
That's the hard no.
It ruined everything, and that was it. End of relationship. But it really got me thinking, because I've never really asked this question before about people, is if they do actually have like hard no's to things in relationships, because I'm actually seeing people like get together even though I know that one of those people has something that is a hard line, but they're still there anyway. And it blows my mind. I don't understand. And so it feels like I'm beating around the bush to try and get to the fact. But so you're a single parent. You had your baby. How old is he now? Very cute.
He's about 14 months now.
14 months?
14 months. It's just flown by. Yeah.
Yeah. And you had him by?
I had him on my own via IVF because my ex's hard no was commitment and children. So
That's a big hard
that's a big hard no. And we were together almost 7 years, basically.
Wow.
And I really love that guy. And I thought, yeah, he will do anything for me because he feels the same, And I didn't quite realize that he really and truly like stuck to his guns about this and was not interested.
Yeah.
And so I actually started IVF while we were still together. And he didn't want any part of it. I asked him repeatedly, like, hey, are you sure you don't want kids? This is something that I really want. He does have an older daughter, and he, from a previous marriage. So he had all those experiences before, albeit they weren't fantastic experiences.
Yeah.
But I said to him, I was like, it's me, I'm not your ex-wife. I want to do things differently and all of that. And he was still a hard no on it. I gave him plenty of opportunities to just be on board,
Yeah.
And so, I purchased donor sperm while we were still together. And I had that in the freezer. And I thought, this is my backup plan. And I have it there. And then within a couple of months, I was just like, but I really want this. What am I waiting for? And so I did all my IVF injections. He was still living here and that sort of thing. He actually refused to even take me to my egg retrieval one morning because I'm just like, dude, just drop me. Like, you don't have to pick me up. Mom's going to pick me up. He didn't want any part of it. And we had a lot of discussion about, going forward and that sort of thing. And he was open to being around and seeing how things go with baby and everything and trying to be a part of our lives. And I was 3 months pregnant and he was just like, I can't do this anymore. People are going to think it's like my baby. It's not, because Barbados is such a small island. People talk. And so he's like, I can't do it because I think it was very, very clear that he didn't have the balls basically to commit and do this huge thing with me after 7 years together, which is crazy.
That is pretty crazy.
Yeah.
I do wonder. So you were together 7 years. So in the beginning, 7 years, that's a lot of growth for anyone anyway, like as an individual.
Yeah.
But to be together, like grow together or whatever, however you see that as two people coming together. But did you know that you wanted children before this relationship? Like that was you always wanted children.
It was always. I always wanted kids, and I could always like see myself, like husband, 3 children, and just living that kind of like mommy lifestyle. And I was like, I really want that, And funny enough, I said to my mom the other day, I was like, I was never great with other people's children. I always thought, like they're a bit of a pain in the ass. And I thought, I have my own. That's great. And it would be different. And it definitely is. And even now, actually, having Freddie, I'm still with other people's children. I'm like, no, it's a no for me. I don't want to hold your baby.
I love that. I love that. It's no at the back. Just because I have a child.
I've got my own. I'm good. Yeah. There's definitely like this whole vibe of just having your own. And I always knew like it was like I always wanted to be a mom.
Yeah.
And I always knew that. And, we'd go out and people say, mention something to casually. They would joke and be like, yeah, so kids and all this. And he'd be like, oh, I'm not having kids. And I thought, that's just, his macho way of just shrugging off the question and not following up, basically. And it wasn't until I was kind of like, I asked him about it. He was like, dead fucking serious. And I'm like, first of all, like, so when we met on Tinder, he lied about his age on Tinder. So he was picking up like slightly younger girls by about 3 or 4 years. So it put him at 40. I was 29 at the time, and he put his age at 40, and he was about to be 43, basically. And I was just like, okay, well, this guy is clearly interested in younger women. Like, maybe
Okay.
he does want all of that, you know? And we hit it off right away. And I was like, great, we get along well. He's like this person that I thought was my soulmate and all this. And then he would start saying things like that. And I was just like, hold up, wait a minute. Why would you catfish me if you didn't want this? You know, it was just very odd. And then when I finally confronted him, he was just like, no, I don't know if I could do it. Finances, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yeah, but you know, everyone loves a baby, you know, everyone wants to buy shit for babies. Like, it's not even like you just ask and, you know, the world will give, basically.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a hard no. His hard no.
So it was always kind of there, but not like this all out hard line.
Yeah.
Do understand that if you go forward with this at any point in the next, however, like, we will be over.
Yeah, exactly. And it wasn't even until I basically officially got pregnant, because we had spoke about, you know, well, as baby gets older, you know, we could do this, we could do that. You know, we can live separately if that makes you more comfortable, but we could still stay together and see each other and, you know, and be in a relationship. We can create our own relationship on our own terms. We don't have to live together, you know, and all of this. And he was kind of on board, or at least made me feel like he was on board. And then he came by one day and he sat down and he's like, I can't do this. Like, he just kind of made up his mind. Like, and it took me off guard. And I was just kind of like, get out of my fucking house right now. I don't want to see you. Because
I can imagine.
we, you know, you said that you would be there and you're bailing, basically. Like, I can't trust you. You've walked away now and that's it, you know? So I was 3 months pregnant, dealing with all of that. And of course, my parents like, you know, you can't stress out too much. Don't want to stress the baby and everything. And I said to someone the other day, I was like, I had a little cry, maybe about 5-10 minutes. I had a little cry, got my shit together and carried on with my life. And after that, I did not cry over him again. And it's just like, a part of me is like, maybe I did need a bit more of a cry to get it all out of my system. And, you know, but I couldn't, because in my mind, I was like, I've got to take care of this little boy that I'm growing now. And I don't have time for somebody that doesn't want to be in our life, you know? So it was.
Do you think, like, underlying though, that maybe because you did need to cry a bit more, but also you just had to roll your sleeves up and get it done? That, like, maybe there was just something like in the back of your mind that just knew that because of the way that he's always been, that this probably was the way it was going to go. Like, this is how it's going to play out.
Yeah. Deep down, I knew when I purchased that sperm, and if I decided to go forward.
It's so weird. I purchased the sperm. Like, it's still weird to me that you can do that. You can just go and buy sperm. But
and attempt to get pregnant on your own. Yeah.
Yeah.
But a part of me knew that the day that I purchased that sperm, that if I was to go ahead with this, he would probably walk out because he didn't want a part of it. So I think as well, like, deep down in my gut, I was kind of like, I am essentially ending this relationship because I want to have a family of my own.
What did that feel like? Like, that moment of going, that feeling of knowing that you want to have a baby outweighed keeping your relationship safe.
Yeah. Blood is thicker than water. My child will always be here for me. I don't know if he would end up bailing on me 5 years down the line and I would be alone and unable to have a kid on my own at that age through IVF because my eggs dried up and, you know, just things like that. I'm just like, I need to secure my future. If this is something that I want, I need to look out for me because he's clearly like looking out for himself, you know? So yeah, I don't know.
Because you mentioned like you thought you felt like he was your soulmate. That's something that I've always wondered what that was like, to look at someone else and go like, dude, this is my soulmate. Like, I've never had that feeling, so I always wonder what that's like. To look at someone and be like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was so like we went out one night. This
Mm,
was November 2020, God knows how many years ago. 20 like 15 or something. And immediately like we just kind of gelled.
mm,
Like we stood out there all night basically talking to each other. And then he walked me to my car and I was like, oh, is he gonna kiss me or what? Like, and
yeah.
then that didn't happen. So I was like, oh, okay, cool, cool friend.
Been friend
um,
zoned.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, cool. And I was at the point, so I was at university at the time doing my attempting to do my master's. That's a whole
Mm,
different story. And I was sat in a class on a Friday evening, which bored me to tears. So I would end up just messaging him and being like, "Hey, you going out tonight? Because I might go out if you're around." And he's like, "Yeah, we could go out." And so I kind of like led the start of that relationship, I guess, due to being bored in class. Essentially, I'm like, I need someone to chat to. Um, Failed the class, got the guy.
This is sounding
uh,
very much like a rom-com, like something. There's some. I'm sure Jennifer Lopez has done some fucking rom-com by
so
now, but
funny. Yeah, probably. Um, and then so we went out over old years or New Year's Eve and stuff, Christmas and everything together, and then we were like officially together. And that year I had quite a few trips planned. I had already booked before I met him the Inca Trail trek.
yeah.
So I spent 4 days on the Inca Trail in January, literally a few weeks after I had met him. He always had the impression of solo women going traveling by themselves or like going out to bars, drinking, partying, having a good time. And I was like, dude, I'm literally going to hike in the jungle for 4 days. So no, I'm not meeting any foreigners and hooking up with anyone. Definitely not. Definitely
Okay.
not smelling a 4-day-old body odor.
Or
Um, yeah, right. Did that. And basically, once I came back from that trip, I essentially moved in with him. So we had been together almost like 4, 6 weeks, if that. And he cleared out a drawer, and I was basically there majority of the week.
wow.
So that's how quickly we really gelled and really got along. Like it really felt like we'd known each other for ages.
Yeah.
And then my next trip was a few months later, and my mentality was like, because I'm used to guys just doing shit and just bailing after a little while, you know? So I booked a ticket to go to New Zealand to visit my sister in May till June.
Mm.
And that was a 4-week trip because I'm like, fuck it, I'm just going. I'm going all that way. I'm going to do everything that I want to do. So I booked it
Yes.
without even, I said to him, just like, do you want to come? And he was like, no, I've got work. And I was like, I didn't expect you to anyway. So 4 weeks in New Zealand on my own. And my sister's like, aren't you concerned like you're leaving this new relationship with this guy and traveling for 4 weeks? And my attitude, I literally said to her, if he likes me enough, he'll wait. So I traveled. I don't even remember talking to him that much while I was there because of the time difference and everything. But I came back and it was like, you know, normal. I came back home and we were all good. And then we were planning a trip together in October to Iceland. And that was our first trip that we would do together, basically. And I convinced him to sleep in a camper van for 10 days.
Okay.
Definitely not his vibe. Yeah. I joke with my boss now because I was the one that encouraged him to do the camper vans and the hiking and the camping and stuff like that. I really love it. And he would just go along with whatever I wanted to do. And I said to my boss, I was like, I'm way more badass than him. I'm like, if I didn't have him on a couple of the hikes that we did, I would have like killed it and gone through so much faster. But yeah, so this soulmate feeling of just like knowing or feeling like we'd known each other for such a long time, basically. And it just, everything just felt comfortable. Like so early on, there was no, um, the image that's coming to mind is the girl from Bridesmaids when she's with her little friend, her buddy, and she would go in the bathroom in the morning and do up her face and put on her makeup and then lie and be like,
yeah,
oh, it's you.
yeah.
I'm looking perfect. It's like, I didn't feel like we had to put on anything, basically. It just felt really comfortable. But yeah.
And did that last like the most, up until the baby thing became a thing? Was that like the feeling the whole time?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, up until the week before, you go somewhere and be like, yeah, I love you, see you later, and all this. Like, we had neighbors, a friend of mine, and she would hear me from the gate say, bye, love you, see you later. And she thought we were psychopaths because we would hear her and her boyfriend arguing every so often. And she's like, the fuck are you all on?
I love that. Like, if you're not arguing, you're a fucking psychopath. All right.
Okay. But
Wow.
it was just so funny to get her like perspective of that. Yeah, we're too lovey-dovey, I suppose. But it wasn't like anything like, public displays of affection type of thing. It was just like, yeah, you're leaving home for the day. Bye, love you. I didn't think anything of it,
Yeah.
Like, if you love people, you tell them.
I mean, I want to say yeah, but not my bag. What I've got in my brain is the fact that, like, right at the very beginning, he literally, like, the first thing he does is lie about his age.
Yeah.
Like,
I know. I thought to myself, I was like, that should have been a red flag from like day one.
But then, yeah, like, to me, it's a bit of a like, that's a little bit flaggy. But then 7 years, if that was the only flag, then
Yeah.
actually, do you know what I mean? Like, I'm sure we all kind of like bend the truth or something about something,
Yeah,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. But Tinder though, that's pretty successful considering. I mean, wasn't Tinder back then? Like, I thought Tinder back then
it was Tinder
hookups rather than.
Yeah, it was actually. So what I used to do, because I was still living by my parents, but I was a couple of miles away from the Friday night hotspot, essentially. So Tinder being a big thing, I signed up for Tinder. I was basically like, oh, let's go and see who's down like 2nd Street tonight. So I'd open Tinder and start swiping to see, is there any like good looking guys that I matched with before deciding if to bother getting dressed to go out. So I'd swipe. And yeah, it worked out.
That's pretty efficient. That is pretty efficient.
I think so too.
I'm not going to waste my time.
Exactly. It saved a lot of money on drinks as well. Like, Jesus Christ, going down there single and having to like buy your own drinks until like some guy is like, I'll buy you something. No thanks.
Wow. Yeah, that's a whole thing. But do you think that you're with having Freddie and, it was clearly, it was the decision to have Freddie was more, it was stronger than keeping the relationship?
Oh, definitely.
Do you think that, has it changed how you're going to view relationships moving forward and how that works for you?
Yeah. So I actually ended up going out with a guy September, October. So like Freddie would have been 7, 8 months old. And I went out with him for a little bit. It was like 2 months or so. He'd pop over, he'd bring food, which was great, and a bottle of wine. And it was just like sit on the couch and chat and that sort of thing. It was very casual. And then, he would kiss me and I was just kind of like, I could see where this is going. Like, you want more. And eventually I was just like, dude, not happening for me. And I could see him trying to like fit into our life. And I just kind of thought to myself, no, I don't want to share my kid yet. I don't want to share my dog yet. I don't want anyone in my house. Like, no, this is too much for me. Bye. I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I just like failed so hard.
Oh, do you expect that to happen? Did you think that would happen or?
I didn't really. I wasn't really looking for anything, and then he asked me out for coffee, and then it was like a couple months of chit chatting a bit and coffee or like a casual lunch, and then it just kind of escalated, and I was like, I don't want anyone touching me. I'm still breastfeeding. My hormones are wild. Like, please stay away.
Like that.
No thanks.
No touch me.
But funny enough, like I then after him, I think it was just around Christmas time, I like hopped on Tinder again. I'm like, let's see what's happening here. And I ended up chatting to another 3 guys. And I went out to coffee with 2 of them. And one of the guys is like a real travel guy. And we chit chat quite a lot, but nothing really happened there, but we talked, which is nice. And then this other guy who's much older, early 50s actually. And we got along so well. And we kind of go to breakfast every Saturday morning type of thing, catch up, chat. But it hasn't been anything more than that. And that's been like over the last 3 months. Yeah. And I said to my mom, I was like, I kind of just want like a friend to hang with at the moment, Like, I don't know if I really want anything more. But listen, if you do Tinder girls looking for girls, it's going to get really intense really quickly. I said to somebody, I was like, this is not my vibe, but I would just do Tinder girls looking for girls just to find like girls that want to go out and have a drink. Yeah. As a friend type of thing. Yeah. We need some of those apps.
Bumble is that app. Bumble, you can find Bumble. Friends. Yeah.
I don't think that's a huge thing here.
Oh, is it not? Yeah, like it's a whole thing where you find people to go, like friends, and it's just not.
I'm gonna have to sign up for that now and see like what the deal is here, because I tried another one and it was like nothing here.
So, but for Tinder, then it's strictly relationships only. Don't be looking for friends.
Yeah, basically. That's the vibe that I get. Like all the guys are instantly like, I want a relationship or a hookup. Like there were a couple of guys that I matched with, definitely people from overseas, and they would message and be like, your place or mine. And I'm like, no, I'm good.
What's that
I just
like?
thought you were attractive, but not now.
Yeah, it's like a personality thing, isn't it? As soon as they do, you're like, all of a sudden you are not. You are not. That
not
happens.
Cute. Yeah.
So you have to like do that to know that you actually just want.
Yeah, basically.
Adult friends.
Yeah. I need friends. Yeah. Well, actually, I said to some of the girls, we went out yesterday, some mummies, and I said to them, I was like, we need to do this more often because I need adult friends. And it's nice to have adult friends with children so that Freddie's occupied as well. And I can have a beer or something.
Yes. But, so is it harder, do you think, now to make friends as an adult?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I guess because like you get so caught up in your day-to-day, don't you? And just work. And then Freddie as well, like our little routine, that it is hard to just be like, oh, I'm going to go out with so-and-so and have a drink, because I need to now get a babysitter and get mom to come or whatever. I need an extra pair of hands, essentially, if I want to leave home without him, just to be clear.
I love that. I will just leave him. It'll be fine.
Yeah. Yeah. I am lucky though. We have a really nice neighborhood here, a lot of young families, so a lot of other women my age and a little bit older. So on an evening I can go out and let him run around and play with the other kids and still have like an adult conversation with some of the husbands or the wives, whoever is out that day. So that I'm very lucky, like living here in this neighborhood, basically. But yeah.
And you say, like, when you said that, Barbados is a small island.
Yeah.
How do you navigate that when you like are on Tinder and stuff like that? Or, people more likely to know your business and like, and just, what's that like? Because here, we're so insular. We're so like, go back into our homes. don't talk to your neighbours, no one knows anything about anyone. And then, that's weird.
Let's just put it this way. I said to my sister a while back when me and my ex broke up, I said to her, well, he's not going to be able to get anyone under the age of 40 because everyone's going to know that I left him to go and have a baby via IVF. Basically, everyone knew. Everyone. So anyone under the age of 40 that thought that they could get with him because they want marriage and kids, they ain't going to play that game because they know full well we'd been together long enough and I went ahead with IVF. And he's got a new girl who's definitely a lot older. So
you didn't want to play that game anymore, yeah.
No, exactly. So he can't do that. And no, like, these women aren't stupid, you know, they've seen what you've done now and what I did. Like, the amount of people that messaged me, just who I don't talk to every day, they messaged me and they were like, this is amazing. I'm so happy for you. That's so brave of you. And all of this, you know, all those really kind words and everything. So I was surprised by the amount of people that actually ended up reaching out.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. And it just goes to show, like, Barbados is such a tiny place.
Yeah, I can't. To me, that's just these days, it's such a weird concept. Like, back in the 90s, you might have known, you would know your neighbour and stuff like that. But nowadays, it's a lot of people are just so much like, go to work, go back into a tiny house, like watch Netflix or something. I don't know, eat, sleep, repeat. And no one really knows anything about you unless,
True. Yeah, so, it's definitely different here.
So what's that like when when I say when you're dating again, you're obviously, you just said that you're actually not ready to date. You just want adult conversation and just that's a bandwidth that you've got at the moment. But does it make it harder to, like, meet people, or easier because everybody knows everybody? Because here you go on Tinder, might go meet someone, and then you'll never see them again. Like, if it don't work out, you'll never see them again. You probably won't know anybody that knows them.
Yeah, and I guess in a way that's good. But, like, here, what was nice is I went out one afternoon with the neighbors and I said, I met these two guys on Tinder and they ended up having the same name as my ex. And I was like, you've got to be fucking serious. Like, come on. So I ended up with another two guys with the same name. And then I said to the neighbors, I said, these are the pictures of these two guys. And they all of them knew who the guys were, basically. And they were like, oh, you have to go for this one instead of this one because this guy's a little weird, but this guy's hot. And I was like, all right.
This guy's a little weird.
But that's the guy that we kind of, like, really, like, sat down for like 2 hours talking about all the places that we want to travel and things like that, which was funny. So I guess in a way it does make it easier because you can just be like, do you know this guy? And somebody will and be like, oh, no, don't touch that. Yeah, don't go there.
And do you think that with, as you said, that you're not ready for that, but do you have an expectation of that it should be the same as what it was like when you met your ex? Like, that it should be easy, that you should feel like, are you expecting that to be your kind of, like, your frame of reference for your next relationship, or what could be your next relationship?
I think so. I just kind of thought, so with the guy that I was seeing towards the end of last year, I kind of thought, well, my ex was, this sounds so shallow now, this might be a part that you cut out. So my ex did not have a lot of money to his name, right? So everything was a bit of a struggle, like, I can't do this month, maybe next month kind of thing. And I would adjust to suit and, make changes when we went overseas and stuff. He would dial it back. So we do everything a little bit cheaper and stuff like that. So anyway, I had heard that the guy towards the end of last year had a very good job and he had a lot of money and he would take care of any woman in his life type of thing. And I thought, maybe I had the love. Let's see if I could go for the for money guy. And so that's why I was kind of like, let's just see where it goes. And then I realized very quickly that it needs to be a bit more than that. It was nice going out to dinners and having lunch and having somebody take care of everything and not even having to like pull out a card to pay for anything. But also it's just kind of like, I don't love it. I'm a pretty independent person and I'm quite capable of looking after myself. And that's not the vibe that I want in my life.
Do you know what? Fair play for trying it though. Like fair play for going, do you know what? Wasn't for me. Personality didn't back it up enough for me to stick but to want that. So
yeah, exactly. So it just wasn't there. Maybe there'll be another guy at some point who has both, where we gel and get along really well, and financially he's more stable and a bit more mature.
Yeah.
We'll see.
So you were saying before about before your ex, your relationships weren't great. Like they weren't. Obviously, you didn't have this kind of relationship before him.
Not really. So I had one long-term relationship before, and I think we were together about 3 years. He moved up to the US for work and wanted me to move with him. And I was like, absolutely not. Like, I have zero interest in being in the US. So if this is our future, this ain't working. You need to find an American girl because I'm not doing it. So I broke it off with him. And then I had a couple of flings when I was in like Trinidad, go out, have a few drinks, friends with benefits kind of situation. And we actually got along really well, me and my friends with benefits, but there was so much arguing all the time. And I was just like, this is not ever going to work.
Yeah.
But funny enough, when I had the experience of like meeting somebody I really connected with back when I was, I think it was 2021. I had flown to Australia with my sister. It was like for her graduation gift. We were going to stay with a friend of hers that she met in college. And she had an older brother. And it was funny because we got to the house and he came home from work. And we were all like giggling away on the bed, drinking like these shitty ass cocktails, like Smirnoff Ice, but fruitier and disgusting.
Yeah.
And we were, 2 or 3 in, so a little buzzed and having a good laugh. And he walked in to say hi. And as soon as he walked in, I was like, damn, he's hot. Like, oh shit. And we were there for about 3 weeks. And there was always like this vibe. We ended up like hooking up like a night or 2 before we ended up flying out, which was probably like the worst thing to possibly do ever. And we stayed in contact for like a good year or so after I left. Like he actually then made the decision like, this is never going to work. I can't have you leave Barbados and come to Australia. Like, you're not going to be able to live the life that you're living in Barbados, basically going to the beach and then, parties and all this. And then I ended up getting into my relationship, my 3-year relationship. And then we didn't talk for a while. And then he met somebody. And once it was almost as if like once my relationship fizzled out, he was like my safe person that I could message and we would talk again and it would be like nothing ever happened. And then he went into a relationship and then we would kind of like ghost each other for a little bit. And in fact, even when I broke up with my ex, my last ex, he had just gone through a divorce and we reconnected last year or the year before. And we were chatting for months and months, a day in, day out. And I said to him, I was just like, always had feelings for you. I always liked you. And he's like, yeah, I know, same. And I said to him, part of me kind of feels like, and we still have like that connection, you know, to just be able to chat whenever and that sort of thing and just like pick up where we left off. So I kind of think like, even though I said my ex is like my soulmate, I guess it's more because I actually ended up having a relationship with him and we were living together. So he was probably like the closest thing to a real relationship, you know. I don't know where I'm going with that. Whereas this other guy was just kind of like a part-time thing. We'd message and chat. We weren't ever spending a lot of time together, you know, like dating really, but there was always this connection essentially.
Yeah. So there's always in the background, always that kind of one that got away.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. It's just interesting because, like I said, I just feel like maybe there is a part of us that's like a missed opportunity there. And that's why things don't work out. If you believe that there's like one soulmate for you, I don't know. But I guess relationships are about work and that sort of thing. Yeah.
So like, I guess it's about work. From what I'm learning, yes. If you want to make it, try and make it work, you've got to put the work in. So
exactly, it just doesn't happen, does it? Yeah,
it really doesn't, which is so annoying. Why can't this shit be easy?
Yeah, I feel like if you do meet that person, like it should be something that is very, very easy to, and not feel like too much work, you know? It just like you gel really well, you get along, and you just fit into each other's lives.
Do you think there's a balance to it? Because you know the whole like, it should be easy, but there's still like there is some work that should you still need to put effort into it.
Yeah.
So do you think there's like a balance? It's not kind of like everything should be easy. There should be no argument whatsoever. Or like, you know, it shouldn't be a hard slog day in, day out. Like,
no, there's definitely like you are gonna find things to argue about. Like you can't not. I mean, like,
yeah.
My ex would wake up at 2:00 in the morning, unable to sleep, and then he'd put his bright ass phone on to sit down and read. And one morning, it woke me up, and I'm like, dude, turn down your fucking brightness or turn it the other way. Like, you know, just things like that. Like, no one's perfect, right? But there's always going to be a little something that's going to irritate the fuck out of you.
Yeah.
but it doesn't mean you don't love them, right?
Yeah. You like them for all their flaws as well as everything. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's probably just something that he, you know, didn't realize was so annoying or, you know, something stupid like that. Also, men are quite clueless about a lot of things. My ex, you had to like straight up say, there was no games. There'd be like, I want you to take me out this Friday. I want to go for dinner. Like, you literally had to say it. It wouldn't even cross his mind that we hadn't done a nice dinner in like 6 months type of thing. Not to say that I'm like a super high maintenance person that needs that regularly, but God, sometimes a girl just wants to get dressed and go out.
Okay. Yeah.
And, you know, he wouldn't like click in and be like, we should do this, you know?
Do you know, I get that vibe with a few people where one partner is more not engaged but more proactive in making things happen, and the other one is not so engaged, and that can be really frustrating.
Yeah. So I've seen this meme on Instagram. It's a travel meme where it's like one person has everything planned out, the whole itinerary, bags packed like a week in advance, and the other person doesn't know where we're going. And I was just like, yeah, because that's exactly what we would do. You know, I'd plan everything, get everything ready, and be like, yeah, we're going to a cold country. Come, you need to pack your jackets and shit like that. And then he wouldn't have a clue of what's happening day to day. And that for me as well got to be a bit frustrating. Little story. After we split, we split in like June. In October, he was going to York in the UK. We had traveled quite a bit together. We had been to Iceland. We've done like Canada road trips from way up north, down through Calgary and Alberta and everything. We've been to Vietnam, Bali, lots of UK trips as well. So like we've been a whole load of places that we've had such amazing experiences in. And every time leading up to the trip, like we'd be going to the airport and I'd say to him, "Are you excited? I'm really excited. Like I can't wait to see Vietnam and try the food and see X, Y, and Z."
Yeah.
And he would say to me, "Oh, I don't want to get too excited yet. You know, I don't know what to expect." And I got used to that would be the same response every single trip. And I was like, "You're no fun." Like,
it's a bit of a drainer. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm just like, I'm excited to try the food. And I'm just like, it's better not to ask because it would just upset me. Like, he wasn't that excited about it. Anyway, so he was traveling to York in October and I ended up going out with his cousins just down to the beach and he showed up. His cousin asked him about his trip and he's like, "Yeah, I'm so excited." I'm like, I kept my mouth shut, but I thought to myself, "You're excited about going to York? It's the UK, Jason. We've been to the UK multiple times. Like, you're excited to go to York? We've been to Vietnam. You wanted to go to Bali. We've driven from Whitehorse in the Yukon and saw all these amazing, like, mountains as we've driven through there, you know, got stuck in a snowstorm and all this shit. And you were excited to go to fucking York?"
That's amazing.
Like, I'm sure it's beautiful. If anyone is from York who's watching this, I'm sure it's beautiful.
Yeah.
But I was just like, "Oh, I've taken you all over the fucking world, and you are more excited about a trip to York than you were about going to Bali, where you wanted to surf and do all these things, and Vietnam and Iceland, where we had an amazing time." He couldn't get excited about that either. And I was just like, "Dude, I cannot." I just shut my mouth and I went into the water. I went into the sea. I'm just like, I cannot listen to this shit.
Amazing.
But just like, how can you? I feel like he like low key did that to just piss me off. But again, I think with men, they don't quite understand things that they say, like, or the consequences of what they say. So in his mind, he's like, "Yeah, I'm excited," without even thinking about all the other trips that we've been on and how he didn't say that he was excited for it. I was like, maybe I'm totally over reading into this whole situation, but I'm just like, don't say that you're excited about it. Come on.
Trip to York. Out of all the places, maybe
Right?
because I'm from the UK and so anywhere outside of the UK is exciting.
Yeah. No, I love the UK. I mean, in October we did
We're not
the New
offended if you don't.
Forest. No, I love the UK, and UK feels like home for me because when we were little, Mum would take us up there practically every year. We have family there, so for me, UK is like second home.
Okay.
That's why I'm just like, out of all the places, like,
Yeah.
let's go somewhere.
The thing is, we
foreign.
wouldn't be offended if you said that you fucking hated it and it was a shithole. Because we'd be like, yeah, same.
Yeah.
Same.
You're
Absolute
funny.
shithole. But wow, that is, and because that's the thing. Like, I know from like when I've been in relationships, I've very much been that guy. Like,
Yeah.
very much been that guy. But for me, it was very much I wasn't actually invested in the relationship. Now, I'm not saying that is what he wasn't actually that invested in the relationship. But do you not believe that you should be like, there should be that kind of intellectual attraction? There should be something where you're excited because the other person is excited about something. You should love, like, you should be like, fuck, I love the fact that you're excited about this.
Yeah, exactly. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Like, who doesn't get excited about Vietnam? Like, holy shit.
Someone with a really shitty constitution. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like,
I don't know. And you know what always got to me as well. This has become like a venting session.
Go for it.
Is he wasn't much of a foodie. He's like very particular. I'm like, you're almost like 50 fucking years old and you can't like try something new. And now I'm just like, I would go like to Vietnam and I would try the pho and things like that. And I'd be like, oh yeah, this isn't bad. And I'd try a few different things, but I was trying them by myself.
Yeah.
You know, so he wouldn't even get like another unusual dish so that we could like taste test and things like that, which really like irritated me as well. Because I'm like, we should be trying different things. Like, bring 3 plates of food. Let's pick from everything. Like, Vietnam is cheap. Like, let's eat everything we can. And so, so when I went to Iceland with my mom and Freddie back in March, and I took Freddie on a food tour, and I gave this kid everything that I ate, you know, all the Icelandic dishes minus the fermented shark. So he had like the lamb stew, the pot fishker, fish stew, basically.
Yeah, they love a fish stew, don't they? Like fish stew.
Oh, it was very good. I got a recipe for it as soon as I got home. It's so easy to do as well. Rye bread ice cream. Like, he tried everything. And I was like, this kid needs to have like a really good palate so that when we travel, he is open to eating these things. Oh, we're definitely going to end up going through like a chicken nuggets and chips kind of phase. Stage phase. Yeah. And I'm sure that will pass, but you know, I'm going to just keep offering him. Jesus. I hope so. Jesus, I can't deal with another beige eater in Vietnam. Like, you will eat pho with me, kid.
Oh man. But like, is that so? What were the good things? What were the good things? Because I feel like you're so excited about travel. Like, it literally is something that you do. You fucking blog about it. And like, you're so passionate. You're so like, oh my God, food. And he wasn't interested. So like, what? And this is not me trying to tear apart this relationship. Like, well, of course it was going to fucking end. But what were the good things though? Because there must have been the good things for you to be like.
So now after like 2 years of splitting up, I'm like trying to cordon that off and be like, it was all negative. We had great conversations together, you know. We would chat about like work stuff and what we could do and ways to like branch out on the blog and have different like income streams. And we were vlogging for a bit on YouTube, so it was like, oh, what can we do next? Like, what adventure can we go on in Barbados? How can we, you know, it was just like really exciting, like chat.
There's creativity there
exactly. And I really enjoyed that. Yeah. And he was always like the movie person. Like, I haven't watched a movie since we split up, basically, because he was always the one to be like, hey, we're going to stay up until 10 o'clock tonight. Prepare yourself. And we're going to watch this movie. And I would be like, okay, cool. That's what I need to hear. Like, tell me what we're doing, you know? And it was like one thing that he'd be good at. Like, let's get a movie. And I was like, all right. And it sounds so silly, but I enjoyed like, you know, just cooking and having someone to like have dinner with and things like that. So I do kind of look back and kind of say, you know, I wish he maybe cooked for me a bit more. I really loved it. Like COVID, it was like 3-course meals at dinner time. Feel like, here's a little snack first. Get your wine ready. Pick the wine. You're the wine man. And I would cook like dinner and dessert and everything. It was just, I love that. And I loved having somebody there to cook for. And he would always be positive about my cooking. I would always sit down and be like, this could have done with a bit longer, or this is not great, a bit more seasoning. And he'd be like, it's fantastic. I love it. And I really loved just like making him happy. I suppose I just kind of got into that routine where he was happier than I was, I guess. I don't know.
It's funny. It's funny. It's like when you look back on things, because it's tainted by the experience of breaking up, it can be hard to look at some things as positive and whatever. And I think that even, you know, even relationships that do end even like badly, there are going to be moments where you have to go, you know what, that was a good moment. Like I have that with an ex of my sister's who he needs a lot of therapy, is my opinion. There's a lot of ego there. But, there were moments that I was like, he was a good guy in this moment. Like, and this, but, it's really hard though. Sometimes you don't want to be the adult that separates things and can be like, yeah. Sometimes you just want to fuck someone. You just want to. You're a prick. Like,
exactly.
Sometimes you just do that, right?
Yeah, that's basically where I am now. And so he got together with a new girl just around Christmas time, and in typical Bajan fashion, everybody messaged me to let me know he's got a new girlfriend. And I'm like, this is exactly what I need. This is really healthy. Thanks, everyone. Like, this doesn't hurt at all, getting messages from about 5 different people showing me pictures of them on Old Year's night. And I'm like, I have my kid. I'm good. But yeah, it's a bit of a slap in the face, considering they both look a little trashy and drunk and like 2 hot messes, which is, for me, like my saving grace. I'm just like, you all look a mess. Well done. I've got my shit together here. So for the last 2 years, he was single for the last like year and a half, and basically spent it binge drinking and partying, and not a healthy way. And I said to some of his friends, I was like, full midlife crisis right now, because he's regretting what he's done, and he's got to just think now and hit rock bottom and start again, essentially. And so in the 2 years that he's been binge drinking and doing all of that, I've been pregnant, I've had my baby, and I'm watching this little miracle grow. And I'm just like, what do I want to say? I'm like, I'm so proud of myself for what I've done over the last 2 years. And I'm like, yeah, fuck you. You would have been like not productive in this life at all. I could have never parented with you. I'm doing this all on my own. And look at all that I've done in 2 years, and look at what you've done. Gone hammered every weekend, and you are a mess. Like, you've aged about 10 years in 2 years.
Yeah, drink will do that to you, right?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm just like, you know what? You all have fun. Like, go get drunk. Every photo that they post, they've got drinks in hand. And I'm just like, cool. Enjoy. But that's not what I want anymore. If that's what's fulfilling you, great. We're definitely not ever meant to be together again. But funny enough, we still talk. I'm like, not
every relationship has to be like this, like hard line. That's it. Never speak to you again. See you later. But what does that mean though? Because now when you go into a relationship, as you said, you're not really that you're not really looking for that at the moment. You're just looking for like friendship, companionship, whatever. But and I am so stuck on this like non-negotiables, but what are your expectations now in a partner now that you have a kid? Like, what are the things that are kind of like hard line, this is the way it's got to be, and if you're not, if you can't add value, then see you later.
I don't know. Like, I haven't gotten to the point where I don't know how involved, like, I want a new person to be with Freddie, like, in that regard. He's my kid, and he's only my kid. I don't have to share him with anyone. So I don't know. I haven't really thought too much about it, because a part of me, like, when I lie in bed at night and Freddie's curled up next to me, I'm just kind of like, I don't need anyone in my life right now. So I haven't really taken the time to consider what I really want in a relationship going forward. I do just want somebody that I can chat with for now, basically, and see what happens. But what I do know is that I don't want somebody who is like 50 years old, financially struggling. I want for somebody to be like, hey, look, it's time for us to go out. Like, we've been dating for like 6 months now. We've only been out to dinner once. Let's go next weekend. And just like someone to take charge, I guess. And just say, we need to do this.
Someone to do half the thinking for once.
Yeah, exactly. Like someone to take some stuff off of my brain. Like, come on, like help me out a little bit.
Yeah.
That would really be what it is. But I don't know, like physically, like what I would expect, like balancing like a relationship with Freddie and stuff like that. And just, I don't know if I would want them to be too involved with a kid. Like, I don't know. Anyone can bail, right? Do I really want my kid to know this guy for 6 months, year, 3 years, and then he walks out on us? Like, I don't know, because that's now all I'm looking at. I guess now I'm scarred because the ex just decided that he was done and doesn't want anything to do with us. And now I'm just like, do I really want to put my child in a position where he has this adult male now to look up to as like his father figure, and then that father figure just walks away?
Yeah. I suppose it's always a risk, right?
Yeah. So part of me is like, I'd rather him just have his grandfather. Like, we have so many men in the neighborhood as well. And like, we have some really good men in the hood. And I'm just like, maybe that's all we need, you know?
Yeah. I think it's an interesting one. Coming from divorced parents and stuff like that, I have a different frame of reference on how that looks like when it comes to parents dating and stuff like that. So it's always fascinated me, the thinking that goes into a single parent's, like, how do they go into thinking about that kind of stuff? Because I believe for my parents, whether they realized it or not, it was very much like partner first, children. Like, the partner was always center, and we were then, so it's always interesting to see the boundaries that people may or may not have or have thought about. So but I get that, though, that if you're not really thinking about starting a relationship in that way, why would you be thinking about it? Why would you be thinking about that kind of thing? Like, entertaining the idea that someone else, although there's also that thing that you get to the age where everybody has a fucking child.
Exactly.
Everybody has a kid. So there could be that. So there could be that a guy you meet has a kid.
Has his own. Yeah, exactly.
So you've got to navigate the fact that, do you want to be someone else's
stepmommy? And I've done that. I've done that because I was with my ex, and his daughter was 10 when we got together.
Fuck.
So I've dealt with teenage girl, and I'm like, it's the worst fucking thing ever. Coming in as a girlfriend, not even a wife or anything. Like, for her, she was probably like, I don't know how long this is going to last. Do I have to respect this woman? Coming into a kid's life at 10 years old, just like pre-puberty and everything, is probably like the hardest thing to do. Like, when we were discussing, me and my ex were discussing, Freddie and stuff, he's like, well, maybe as he gets older, we might reconnect and all this. And I said to him, I was like, you're getting in on the ground floor right now. If you are here from the time he's a baby, he will respect you. If you want to come into his life at 10 years old, you're going to have to deal with the same shit that I had to deal with your daughter, which is the lack of respect, and they're older and hormones are raging and they don't care what you think, quite frankly. Like, you're no one to them, and it's going to be even harder coming in. But I don't think that he really appreciated what I did for him and his daughter, and the amount of work it required on my part to play nice, essentially. Because there are some times where I was just like, girl, you are lucky you are not my child, because I will slap you silly right now. I need to walk away. And it's just like, it was not easy. So there's that as well. Like, it just, ideally, like, if I met a guy and he had a kid the same age as Freddie, that would be just like perfect. I would actually really love that.
I love that.
I met him like before that age, like when the kid was like 5, 6. I think that would be like a really sweet age, and it would just be like, yeah, got a new brother.
Got time. There's plenty of
Yeah.
time. Do you know what I
Yeah,
mean?
exactly.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So I didn't, yeah, of course, because you said that he had a daughter. Was
Yeah.
that ever a thing for you? Like someone already having a kid?
It was not on my radar initially, and I didn't know much about him when we first met, actually, funny enough, in a small island. But then someone said to me, he has a daughter and stuff, and I was like, oh shit. Well, it's too late now because like after that initial like chit chat and stuff, I really liked him. And he didn't say to me on the first date, yeah, by the way, if you want to date me going forward, just so you know, I have a 10-year-old daughter. He wasn't really upfront with that either. And I'm not somebody to pry for information. Like if people tell me, I'm like, okay, cool, I'll take it in and just hold on to that. But yeah, it wasn't until maybe a couple of weeks or so that he had said, yes, I have a daughter and that sort
A
of
couple
thing.
of weeks.
Yeah, I think because it was just like a casual thing at first, and then I knew that he had his daughter and everything, and I was just kind of like, okay, well, shit, I already like you, so there's not much I can do about that. It's not like I'm gonna just say, all right, see ya. So just went with it. I thought,
I don't know. I can't fathom that you wouldn't be like. I know that it's a bit of a mood killer like, on the first date, but even like in your profile or something, that there's some
nothing.
mention of the fact that you are a parent, because
there was nothing.
changes dynamics though, because a single person and the demand, not the demands, but like the expectations on a single person with no
A much younger girl as well, huh? Much younger.
and then to not say that,
Yeah.
that to me is really weird, because then it's like, well, does that mean, is that like something, is that telling you what he really thinks about kids? Is that he's not proud of the fact that he's got a daughter?
I honestly, I feel like there's always been issues. A part of me kind of feels like he didn't want kids at all. And his ex-wife got pregnant. And I think that they just figured they were having some troubles in their relationship. And I think she ended up getting pregnant while they were going through all this. And they thought that maybe a baby would fix it. And it did not, because babies don't fix anything. Definitely not.
They fucking don't, do they? You would know?
No, definitely not.
Wow. Yeah, just find that.
So then it just, because they split when the baby was like 6 months old.
Well, that's fucking telling.
Yeah. So he was basically a single dad from like ages, and I don't think that is something that he wanted for himself. I think that if he was to have a kid, he wanted to have it in a happy marriage where the woman does most of the work, but he got stuck dealing with a lot of shit, probably literally too, because he, would have to take his baby on for days on his own, right? And man up.
But I don't know. Like there's, you talk about this guy and I'm like, I see flag after flag.
I know. And now I'm like, oh, I'm watching all these videos on Instagram where they're like ice skating with the red flag. Yep. Now I'm seeing them. I'm seeing the flags.
I suppose that's the thing. You can always look back. Hindsight is 2020. You can always look back and see it. But when you're in it, it's different. You're in it. You're immersed in it. And feelings are involved, and feelings can like override logic and stuff like that. And so, like you said, that he was your soulmate. Is your soulmate? Was your soulmate? However, and what, like, just like I said, I don't know what that's like. What does that act? How can you describe that? Like, what does that feel like to look at someone and be like, "You're my soulmate"? Like you're in love with him? Like, what does that? What does
Honestly,
that actually feel like?
This is gonna sound so like teenage girly, but literally every time I would hear him like pull in and stuff, hear the gate close, and I would see him walk in, I would get like butterflies in my tummy. Every single time. Yeah, every time. And I would always go over, give him a kiss. Hi, how are you? And every time I saw him, I thought to myself, damn, this guy's hot. Like, he's a hottie, and I get butterflies in my tummy every single time, like for 6.5, 7 years, basically.
Wow.
And yeah, and it's just like, like I'd pass him on the road, like we're running errands or something. He was leaving work or whatever, pass him on the road, and we'd always call each other. Don't mind.
Yeah.
We live together. We see each other constantly, but I would always call him and we'd have a little chat in the car and just like about our day. And I said to him, I was like, I always like hearing your voice when I'm on the road and things like that. And actually, funny enough, last week I passed him driving and I thought to myself, I do kind of miss that, I would like literally pick up the phone and be like, hey, where are you going?
Yeah.
What are you up to?
Yeah.
And just things like that. And part of me is just like, I had to just do the drive past.
So like wave off, just acknowledge, goodbye.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's way more polite than probably what would happen over here. Like over here, people would just be like turn the cheek.
Yeah, you always wave here at somebody you see in the car. If you know someone, you always wave. But I got a very enthusiastic wave from him. I did and he was like, I was like, okay.
All right, he's loving life, but it's all good.
Yeah.
But with that, is that like meet your expectations perhaps of how you thought or what you see as a child of what love, soulmates and stuff like that? Did that meet your expectations? Because when you're a kid, and I know that people are like, I never really thought about it, but I think that we do. It's just that maybe we don't hold on to that because of
reality.
Because of reality kicks in, and you don't want to admit to the fact that maybe you thought that when you were 10, being in love was like this, like butterflies and stuff like that. You're like, it might sound silly, but I would get butterflies. That's not silly. That's actually really fucking sweet. That's really like, wow, like to know that there's someone out there that is at home who's excited to see you. Like, oh my God, why wouldn't you want to go home? Of course you would, because there's someone that's actually excited to see you. How fucking nice is that?
Yeah. Like, no, it was like, this is perfect. I love it. I love our little relationship. I love how I feel and all of that. And everyone who would go out with, they just, I guess they all got that vibe, where it's like, damn, this is a good relationship. Like, you two are good together, and things like that. But it didn't last.
Yeah. But did it change? Like when you were little and stuff, can you ever recall like what you thought it would be like?
Yeah, like warm, fuzzy, and just I suppose it did. It did kind of add up to what I expected in a relationship. Maybe that's why I say that he's my soulmate when there were all these red flags, because it was like my expectations of what I was thinking a proper relationship should be, the one where you have marriage and you have kids and you live happily ever after, which sounds so naive, but yeah, that's kind of what I thought would happen,
Yeah.
But
did you frame of reference as a child for what that was?
Oh, I have no idea, because my parents are separated.
I love that. I
have no idea. I saw those fuzzy Disney movies, man. My parents actually argued quite a bit when we were younger, and they it wasn't until me and my sister were much older that my mom had said that dad and her basically separated, but they still live together in the same house and that sort of thing. So it's just a bit.
So for you,
it's not a perfectly happy relationship.
Yeah. So for you, this is kind of, whether you consciously made that decision or not, was like, this is not it.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was influenced by the Disney and the rom-coms and all the shit that goes on the TV screen and in the books and stuff. But
probably, yeah.
Same for me. My frame of reference wasn't very good in the fact that most people like split up or like. So Yeah, that's really interesting. But no, I love the fact that you're able to say out loud that this is how he made me feel. Like I got butterflies. Because I think that sometimes people are hesitant to admit shit like that. Do you know what I mean? People are hesitant because they don't want someone to call them, like maybe people are hesitant because they don't want people to call them out and be like, oh, that's such a, like.
That's so silly. That can't be true.
Yeah, just like put their own
It does sound silly. Yeah, but that is just genuinely how it always was, you know? Like my tummy would do like flips. It was just, yeah, it was weird. It was like I would kind of like meet him for the first time every time he walked through that door. Like this hot guy would walk in and I'd be like, damn, like, yeah, I got a crush. Like,
Yeah.
hot. Yeah.
Do you think the feeling was mutual?
I kind of wonder now if he was only like half-assed about it. I do. I would like to think that it was.
Yeah.
I mean, to be together for so long, I would like to hope that it was. And I think as well with his binge drinking and stuff over the last year and a half and not just jumping straight into a new relationship 6 months later, I think maybe it was a bit of a telling sign that he had some regrets about what he did as well. But,
yeah.
Or losing that relationship, you know?
So I guess for you, there potentially is that idea that you might know when someone's worth it because they'll give you butterflies.
Yeah, I guess so. I guess that's like my frame of reference now.
It's like your North Star. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. We'll see.
Basically, what we need to do is, it's not red flags, but there's a couple of like things here that are non-negotiables, that they've got to be into food, like they can't be a picky eater, because come on, that's just not, there's so much joy in food and traveling and being active. And like, I'm not saying that I do think opposites can attract and can really work, but there's some things that, and it feels like, based on the excitement from you, is that those are the things that are absolutely
for sure.
On the list.
Like if we're staying at a nice hotel or something, which is rare, so it's a real treat for me. If we're staying in a nice hotel and it's like 10 a.m. and I'm like, hey, mimosas, you better be down. Like mimosas with breakfast. Yes, please. Like, I just want to do everything, all the good stuff. Like we're enjoying life. Life is too short. So yes, I want to have mimosas or rum punches with breakfast if we're on vacation. We don't do that on a regular day when we have work. You know, like let's live a little and do what we don't do normally, you know, and just enjoy.
Yeah. I think that's pretty cool. And I do have one question, and though I've had a few people on that have children, I've never asked this question, but I feel like I want to. What hope do you have for Freddie in growing up and his view on what relationships should be?
Oh, I want him to have everything. I'm like, I can't wait to have a daughter-in-law. My child's going to grow up. I want him to get married and have his own kids and do, you know, what you're meant to do. You know, just take care of that woman and just, you know, love life and just be in love. I just want all of that for him.
What advice would you give him?
I've already said to him, I was like, we give flowers to girls that we like, huh? This is what we're doing. And yeah, just like, I just want him to be himself and like not change who he is for anyone, because that's not how you solidify your relationship. You don't adjust to suit someone else's kind of perception of who you are and what they need and that sort of thing. Like, just be yourself, and whoever's meant to come into your life will come into your life.
And if, you know, he's in a relationship and, you know, there's a bit of a struggle and stuff like that, what would be your advice to him if, like, you know, him and his partner are not connecting in some way? What would be your advice?
I think it depends on how long they've been together and that sort of thing. You know, if it's like something that
2 months, like, look, sack it off.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, God, it's only been 6 months, and what, you're like 23. But just move on. And someone else will come along. You have plenty of time, you know? Whereas if it's been like a 4-year relationship and he's 28 something, you know, and like, if this is something that you really want and you need to work at, or, you know, you feel like you don't want to lose this, then go talk to someone. You know, do you all need to sit down in couples therapy together and have a conversation? What are you not talking about? You know, if it's something that you really want, you got to make it work still, because there is still an element of work with a relationship. So you can't just take it for granted, you know? So yeah.
I think that's really interesting, because it's, you know, like at some point that's going to be a thing. And kids, man, they absorb so much. But okay, Stacey, thank you so much. This has been super
thanks, Joe.
Interesting and mildly amusing as well.
Yeah.
So
and you're gonna sit back and be like, damn, so many red flags, Dave. What's going on? How did you do that?
Honestly, if we check in and if we check in and you're like, yeah, I've seen this guy, I'd be like, let's count the red flags. How many red flags have we got
how many? Yeah.
And I think maybe 2 is too many. But.
Yeah, I think so. But, you know, looking back now, hindsight is always 2020. I straight up said to him the other day, I was like, I could never parent with you. I'm glad I'm doing it on my own. 2, like, this will never happen again. I have zero interest in dating you, because I know what to expect and not expect. So have fun with your new girl. We can talk. We can be friends. But I am not sexually attracted to you anymore.
Oh, that's super helpful.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah.
That's super helpful.
I'm like, yes, we're over. I'm done. I've got this cute little boy I got to take care of. I don't have time to think about you.
Amazing. Thank you very much, Stacey.
Thanks, Joe. That was fun.